Should have been Boston butt, Sinclair said, as he took the pork loin off the smoker and put it in the aluminum tray I was holding. We won't be able to pull it. The late summer breeze carried the smell of smoke, paprika, and vinegar, and I felt saliva dribble from the corner of my mouth. I hastily wiped it away, hoping Sinclair hadn't noticed. Then, shouldn't we just leave it on longer? I said doubtfully. I was really hungry. Done or not, I wanted pulled pork. It's been on for 11 hours already. I think it's the wrong cut of meat. The recipe said Boston butt, he said. Should have been Boston butt. As he said this, he tugged the lapels of his sports coat. It didn't really seem like the right occasion, but fresh out of college, he always wanted to dress like a professional, even when it wasn't appropriate. I lost my place. Personally, I thought it made him look pretentious. It even seemed childish. The shoulders on the jacket were too large for his slim frame, and the sleeves reached the palms of his hands, and the pale blue dress shirt that he wore under it was either too small or so tightly tucked that it was right up against his skin. Dress for the job you want, not the one you have, he'd say. I personally think one should get a job before quoting lame advice. I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. If I did, I probably would have bought the right cut of meat. It had been my responsibility to buy the meat, and to be honest, I couldn't tell one cut from the other. Pork is pork. I think he should have been glad I didn't buy some pork chops. It would have been a lot cheaper. Yeah, sorry, I said, frowning. We could try cooking it for 13, but the outside is going to burn. Nah, I'm sure it's fine. Sinclair considered barbecue to be serious business. His family had come from Tennessee, not that you could immediately tell. He had a Baltimore accent with the exaggerated O and everything. His parents shared his love for barbecue, but neither of them was into cooking it like Sinclair was. After he bought a cookbook and his parents bought a smoker, he taught himself how to smoke ribs, brisket, even though that was kind of a Texas thing, chicken breasts, and even potatoes. But the one thing he could never master was pulled pork. Sinclair slid open the screen door and walked into the kitchen, and I put the aluminum tray on top of the counter. While he took out a knife and fork out of the drawer, I took potato salad out of the refrigerator. I made it and used my grandma, my yaya's recipe. I never told Sinclair that the traditional southern potato salad that I made was actually a Russian dish called salade Olivier, but it tasted better than the bland American version. I told him I'd gotten it from diners, drive-ins, and dives. Sinclair took a fork, and instead of pulling apart, the meat just rocked with the fork. He frowned and took out a carving knife and began cutting off slices. His dad walked in, wearing sweat shorts and an off-white t-shirt with a large pocket on the front. Stopped in the middle of the room and rested his hand on the wall as if he had lost his balance and dramatically sniffed the air. "What's that smell?" Mr. Fulton said in mock concern. "Did someone burn down the house?" "Nah," Sinclair rolled his eyes and laughed. "Just barbecued some pork." "We also have potato salad," I said. He grabbed a Yingling out of the refrigerator and twisted it open, and then snatched one of the slices of pork that Sinclair had just cut from the loin. "Hot," he said. "Shit, Dad, I almost cut off your finger." "If my blood is on the slices, does that mean it's mine?" Sinclair smiled and shook his head, but this time he didn't laugh. "It's not that good. I can't pull it apart." "But it still tastes good," I said. "It smells wonderful. Looks delicious. But it's not pulled pork." His dad put the slice of meat in his mouth and said, "Tastes good." And he grabbed a paper plate and shoveled some of the potato salad onto it. He said, you can even see the smoke ring around the edges." It was true. Though the meat was, for the most part, perfectly white, there was about an inch of pink going around the outside under the crust of pepper, salt, and paprika on the outside. "Yeah, it's huge," I said. After cutting off a few more slices, he put a paper plate on the table, and we took out the Kaiser rolls, barbecue sauce, some beer, and sat down to eat. "You know," his dad said, "the first time I had pulled pork was at this barbecue place near the farm just outside Knoxville. It was pretty good, Memphis style. Old Man Jim's Smokehouse, I think it was called." Always wanted to go down there, Sinclair said. You know, try the real stuff. His dad took a bite of the barbecue sandwich and shrugged. Maybe you should, he said, chewing. You know, son, this is really good. Sinclair looked at his plate and smiled faintly. A few weeks later, Sinclair invited me along on his road trip to Tennessee.